Hey everybody, it's Sunday pump day. Bitcoin's making new all-time highs all the time, and so are other names too. But today's story is a little bit different. It's about helping people structure themselves after they've been through some different experiences, or they have too much concentration in one area. And we will talk a lot about AI and everything that is changing so fast. And I've been talking about this for a long time, that we need to get ready. And I had an extreme sense of urgency, but that urgency has just gone up a couple of levels too. But we'll get into that later too. So Dog Intern, thank you so much. As always, a great question probably from you. Anyway, this is called AI-driven wealth. And there's a lot in here for everybody. A lot of little secrets, as usual, a ton of material, and let's get into it. And of course, not financial advice, just a guy on the internet. Thank you to the mods in the chat. All the questions come from Patreon. And the reason I spend all day Saturday and all day Sunday doing this is because it actually makes me smarter too. So let's get into the very first question. This is from Rocket Catcher. Ooh, I like that name. Thank you for all you do. Your Patreon is by far the best thing I pay for. I'm 41, earning 50,000 euros a year, and I've just passed whole coiner status. Woohoo! Congratulations. Another whole coiner. Brilliant work. I also hold 40 shares of Tesla and MicroStrategy, plus similar in Sol and some Sol alts. I'm DCAing weekly, but progress is slow. Would it make sense to make a Bitcoin-backed loan to buy more Tesla now, or would you lean toward buying leaps, or simply stacking more Sol? Thank you for everything. So this is an interesting question. Of course, I don't give financial advice, but I do share what I do and what I would do. So let's jump in. First of all, a reminder, everybody, never, ever, 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 ever borrow to speculate. That's how you get wrecked, and that's how you lose everything. You've achieved the whole coinership. Do nothing to jeopardize that, okay? Ever, ever. The other thing I'd like to mention as well is we are near the top. So this is not a time when you borrow to speculate. You do that at the bottom of the bear. So be patient for now. Do not borrow against your Bitcoin. You never know what could happen. You never know. And we don't know how close you are to the top. But things are looking extremely bullish, but things are also very heated as well. Now, I do want to talk about leaps, because you can do an awful lot with leaps and they don't necessarily cost a lot of money. And I'm going to give you a real life example that we've seen here, and people say, oh, Tesla's bad. Let me give you an example of how when you buy leaps on dips, it's not bad at all. So imagine I have 10 contracts of the December 2026 $140 strike contract for Tesla. I have a lot more than 10 contracts, just for the record. But just imagine you buy 10 or one, okay? One contract is $1,600, 10 contracts is $16,000. And I want to share this to give you a perspective of leverage. But remember as well, when you buy leaps, you buy them at bottoms, and you buy them on things that will go up over multi-year periods that follow. The more time you have, the easier it is to estimate where the price goes. 10 contracts times 100, you get 100 shares of control per contract. And the price today for Tesla is 315. It's probably going to be higher tomorrow. And that basically means 10 contracts you bought for $16,000 now controls $315,000 worth of stock. But the question is, what happens when it goes to at least $600 by December 2026? Still another year and a half to go. That means your contracts are worth $460,000. 16 grand becomes $500,000 pretty quick. That's nearly 3,000% ROI. This is the power of leaps, everybody. I'm going to share it again on the table, go through the numbers one more time to make sure everybody gets it. This highlights, again, the massive upside potential through leverage, turning a small investment, 16 grand, into extraordinary returns if, of course, the stock moves favorably. If you buy this on a stock that goes down or flat, you lose your 16 grand. But at least you don't need to borrow against Bitcoin to do it. Now, your upfront cost, again, 10 contracts, $1,600 each, $16,000, control exposure. 1,000 shares at $315. So your 16 grand controls $315,000. And your leverage ratio, your controlled value over cost is 20x. That's the leverage. Okay. Imagine me with a little screwdriver opening up a tin of paint. That's a huge lever with a massive fulcrum to have that 20x power. And again, I think we're going to at least 600 late next year, maybe $1,000, somewhere in that time frame, in that price range. And the total option value be 460K. Or if we go to $1,000, you can buy a $1,000 Tesla for only $140. And that's bonkers. And the ROI will be the tune of like 7,000%. That's the power of leaps. So again, it's a long-winded answer. If I was you, I would not borrow against your Bitcoin. Do not borrow to speculate, but find a way to maybe get 16 grand together, or $1,600, buy one leap, or 10 leaps, whatever you can afford. That is the play. Okay. Next question. And this is from AB3324. James, the new Mag 7, what would be your allocations? I'm thinking Tesla 40%, NVIDIA 20%, Microsoft 15%, Meta 10%, Palantir 8%, MicroStrategy 4%, and TSM 3%. Thanks for everything. Well, as the new thing is, I'm working on a new Mag 7. I think much of the Mag 7 is dead, like things like Apple roadmap for 2026 is a new iPhone 17. Not very exciting, but I'm going to say this portfolio will be heavy exclusively AI. Okay. And the reason for that is we are still early in AI. And this is a little bit of AI perspective. Okay. So those of you who think AI is a nothing burger and crypto is much bigger, no, it's not. Okay. NVIDIA's market cap now represents a staggering 3.6% of global GDP. It is now bigger than the entire economies of the UK or France or Germany. These are huge countries, okay? Very powerful economies. And NVIDIA, little company out of Silicon Valley, is bigger than all of them. And that's the first thing that really you need to take into account. And we're still very early. And the real value of these chips, okay? These chips made by NVIDIA will drive AGI, Artificial General Intelligence, and ASI, Artificial Super Intelligence, launched 2 days ago from XAI. Okay? It's crazy what's happened. Check it out. Be aware. The change is coming fit, fast, and furious. And another little bit of XAI perspective started a little over 2 years ago by Elon Musk. They have the most powerful supercomputers in the world. They have the most compute capacity, and they have the best team. And they've made rapid progress. They got the largest centers, most coherent compute on the planet, and they leapfrogged all the competitors that have been around for 10 years plus. Okay, now, the reason I talk about this is valuation, because this is what we like to talk about, the numbers. OpenAI is worth $350 billion, call it a third of $1 trillion, give or take a couple of billion here or there. XAI is worth less than OpenAI, but XAI is better than OpenAI, okay? Therefore, XAI potential valuation is probably $500 billion. And that's half of Tesla's net worth in just 2 years. But the key that's important is XAI will now be powering not only the cars, the autonomous vehicles with the best AI in them, and Grok, the humanoid robot, and SpaceX is investing in XAI so they can develop new physics. This is why AI is so powerful, because it's changing so fast. Now, the Mag 7 is my new Mag 9, okay? I have picked the chosen ones. I've got the 9 companies. However, 3 are not even public yet. And the hardest part I'm working on the side is the models for 2030, which is the price. And I'm refining those now. And then I will come up with the optimal allocations for this AI bag that everybody needs to have. So this is something that I need to get right. And it takes a lot of time. And I've been working on it for months now. And getting close, getting close. By the way, DCA tomorrow will be starring Cern Basher, who is one of the top authorities in AI and modeling too. Can't wait to talk to him about this stuff as well. And don't worry, we'll get back to the crypto stuff too. So that's the status. I can't share it now. I don't have the price targets. I do have the names though. So more on that is coming. This next question is from the Yorkshiremen. Hello, Yorkshiremen. Hope you and the team are well. Have you got any plans for another retire on cocktail anytime soon? Woohoo. So yes, I make these videos at opportune times when I think you can take a very small amount of money, like $30,000, plunk it down on some assets, and then to be able to retire in 5, 6, 8 years. That's the genesis of the retire on videos. However, I don't make them when we are in a juicy market, a frothy market, at the top of a market, or near all-time highs, as we are right now. However, what I do is revisit them. And I will promise you this, I'll be making a new retire on cocktail, which will include my Mag 9. The issue is finding on-ramps to some of them that aren't exactly accessible to your average investor. But that will be coming too. So it'll be a long shot. And these will be going out to the year 2030. So people are looking to retire in 5 years. That'll be a good one to watch. But that's going to be a while away too. But that's coming. But I don't make retire on videos when Bitcoin is at, what's the price of Bitcoin? $119,350. Woohoo! Another soon to be all-time high. Excellent. And it looks like, I'm pretty convinced over the next 24 hours, by the way, Bitcoin will hit, guess what? $120,000. $119,000 was my bear market target in early 2023 for 2025. Check out the videos on that. Unbelievable. We've already achieved it, but that's why I sandbag stuff. I missed the top back in 2021 by $9,000. So I sandbag a little heavier this time, but we're already there. We're already above the target. So, and I do believe I've got more room to go too. Anyway, next question. Now, for security reasons, I have blocked out this person's name, but I'm going to call you Bob. Okay? Bob, for your safety, I am not sharing who you are, even though it could be anybody, but because you have a large bag, I want to keep your security private. Hi, James. I bought a house and used most of my savings stocks. With mortgage, a kid, a wife not working, I felt a bit of a struggle to keep using just my salary. I do own about 40 Bitcoin, which I mined during the early days. I actually sold hundreds of them for a few $1,000s initially, but stopped doing so when Bitcoin hit $1,000. Clever move, by the way. I'm thinking of selling 20 Bitcoins to buy Tesla. If I do so, I'll probably have to pay 20% long-term capital gains tax, plus 10% Washington state capital gains tax, plus 3.8% NIIT. Meanwhile, I want to generate some income, hopefully by following your trade and using the tools you provided. Do you have any better suggestions? Well, there's a whole bunch we can do here. But first of all, let's just talk about, should you sell? Because right now it appears that you are pretty much 100% Bitcoin. And I assume you were an early miner and you had Bitcoin under $1,000 and you had hundreds of them. So you imagine your cost basis is zero. Let's look at some math first and then talk about diversification, which I think is very important. Actually, we'll do the math after. But diversification is key. And as I kicked off this presentation today, AI will have the most profound and impactful impact on the planet ever in our history, okay? I mean that with absolute conviction since 2022, but my conviction has gone into hyper mode, okay? This is extremely serious. If you do not have AI exposure, I just want to go smack you around the face a little bit. Get some, literally get some. Not financial advice, of course, but let's talk about the Tesla investment case. And this goes back to, I've been modeling price predictions for Tesla and Bitcoin since 2017. I have literally hundreds of models. And I also, by the way, a fun side story, I also tracked lost wallets since 2017. And that's one of the things that made me so afraid of self-custody. Think about that. Because when you see so much being lost, it makes you very paranoid. But let's talk about the Tesla investment case, because you did mention it. The ROI of Tesla versus Bitcoin. First of all, Tesla is the leader in EVs, robotaxis, humanoid robots, energy storage, and now AI integration. Everybody, love him or hate him, you cannot fade Elon Musk, okay? Not a fanboy, a fundamental data analyst here. That's what I am. That's what I do. I've never seen anything like this in 35 years of analyzing companies. Never, not even remotely close. And I can hear the people with Elon derangement syndrome right now. They're like, oh no. Well, I don't care, okay? My job is to save souls. So I'll just say what is true, okay? Not anything else. But the price target for Tesla will be somewhere between $3,000 and $11,000 by 2030. Call that a 9.6x to 35x ROI from where we are right now at $313. Real life price. Tesla, I do believe, will outstrip Bitcoin's performance, which would be a 2.5x to an 8x from here, which would be $300K to $1 million per Bitcoin. In fact, somebody said in a comment on my video yesterday, Bitcoin will never get to $1 million. Yeah, it's probably going to get to $1 million. You know why? Because your fiat is going to zero, everybody. That's a given. It's pretty easy to estimate. But the point here is 9.6x to 2.5x or 35x to 8x. Even if you say Bitcoin's going to $2 million by 2030, Tesla still beats it. Okay? So just, that's the thing. Now we're going to go more into comparative valuations. I gave some cases earlier regarding XAI and the value of that, and NVIDIA and the value of that compared to nation states. But let's talk about this one. Dojo has just decided to go into full-scale scaling. That means the speed of this puppy is 100 plus exaflops. Okay? This rivals NVIDIA's ecosystem. But these chips are optimized for training. Not compute per se, but for training. Also visual training. And I want to take a second to talk about visual training, why that's important. All the AI models have sucked in all the data that exists on the internet. That's it. There's no more data to analyze unless they create synthetic data. But the next level of data is video data. Guess who has more video data than anybody else on the planet? Tesla. Okay? That's why they've optimized these chips to do exactly that. And in fact, Elon Musk said 2 days ago or 3 days ago, they are dedicating 100,000 B200s to create video. No, there's nobody in the planet that even has that many available, never mind dedicate them to creating video. That's how big this is. Soon, these chips will be creating, motion pictures and whatever else. RIP Hollywood, good riddance, bye-bye. Anywho, getting off on a rant here, but the point I'm trying to make here is Tesla Dojo valuation. This is one of their 12 little lines of business, okay? They have a chip now that rivals NVIDIA's ecosystem, but it's optimized for training. It's extremely low energy consumption and very, very fast. And if you imagine they scale it okay, it could be conservatively worth $2 trillion, like half the market cap of NVIDIA. This is like a little Easter egg inside the value of the Tesla stock price, which last week was under $1 trillion. They have this Easter egg worth $2 trillion. That's not even accounted for, just like energy and all the other good stuff that they do. Bonkers. If they match NVIDIA, it's $4 trillion if it disrupts broadly. Okay, that's what we're talking about here. Now let's get back to you and talk about taxes. There will be a penalty for you to sell your Bitcoin and pay taxes, but does it make it even with the ROI of what I've covered? Your 20% federal income tax, etc. Selling 20 Bitcoin would generate $2.4 million. You'll have to pay about $803,000 in taxes, leaving you $1.574 million net, about 5,021 shares of Tesla, and that's 16.74 retire on Tesla bags. And that could be worth $40 million by the year 2030 to 2032. So yes, pay the taxes, diversify. Not financial advice. Hope that helps. And again, you don't have to go all in on Tesla, just have AI exposure. I don't care what it is. NVIDIA, well, NVIDIA is already at 4 trillion. Tesla's at 1 trillion. It should be at least 2 trillion, but markets are irrational. We'll talk more about the irrational markets in a second too. Hope everybody's enjoying the show. I want to say a big thank you to the Foodie Emperor, Shawnee, TND Tesla, K8, and everybody else. The Foodie Emperor, what a cool name. Anyway, thank you to the moderators for keeping us all safe. This is from Jared. Hey, James, I'm about to inherit $40,000. I'm from the US. And would you deploy the funds now or wait for the upcoming bear market? I want to hit the retirement targets. It's so cool. So many people talk about retirement targets. Brilliant. This is truly, there used to be a thing decades ago called FIRE, like something, retire early. I don't know, can't remember what it was, but this is where you get the real fire. Anyhow, I'm glad the way you're thinking. I'm happy about the way you were thinking. I want to hit the retirement targets, but I'm worried I'm buying at the market's peak. Also, how would you allocate the portfolio if you deployed the funds? Thank you for all you do. So great question. And again, timing is everything. If you see something that has extreme value, extreme disruption, first of all, when they get completely oversold, you buy the hell out of them, okay? And then you wait. Sometimes you got to wait 2 years. Sometimes you got to wait 3 years. Just as I showed you the ROI on the leaps on Tesla from like last year. It's crazy. Anyhow, what I do right now, I share all my moves. There are still deals to be had. So just in the past 2 weeks, I bought 3 very big slices of Tesla. I bought 1 big slice of Hype, and I bought 1 medium slice of Jupiter. Imagine that being a big pizza. A big chunk of it was, 3/5 of it, let's say, was Tesla. But one of the big fat slices was actually Hype. And that's what happened, playing rotation. So I'm still finding deals. You should always keep some cash. We'll talk about another scenario with somebody in a minute of how you can think about deployment and what you can do. But congratulations on your 40K. Think about buying things that are cheap now. I would not be buying things like Bitcoin 120K. It's my personal thing. I've got a line in the sand. Well, I like things that triple in value. And is Bitcoin going to go to 360K? Could. Is it likely? I don't know. Not sure. Not sure at all. So let's talk about the next question. This is from Kodja. Hello, Kodja, my friend. I'm trying to get my head around Solana. It's clearly superior in performance to Ethereum, Arbitrum, etc. So why are Robin Hood and Coinbase choosing alternatives? Is it too efficient and therefore not a money spinner? Can't justify a fat profit margin and fees to their customers and for operators like these? And if that's the case, what's the future for Solana? So if I go back in time to when Ethereum had a North Star, that was their North Star back in 2021 was to be the world computer. I don't know what's happened since then. They've lost their North Star or can't navigate to it or find it or define it as they go forward. But sometimes when you have TradFi firms, they like centralized control. They like one sequencer, and that's it. That's why the layer 2s on ETH are sometimes kind of safer. I don't think it's anything to do with the fees at all. But you're right. This one is a bit of a conundrum as to exactly what's going on here. Let's look at a couple of deltas fresh from the SCP profiler and the crypto compendium. If you look at this data, and even if you include all the layer 2s, the deltas are extreme, okay? There might be, and by the way, Robinhood is also using Solana. I think they're splitting the difference, Arbitrum, Solana. Can't remember the exact details, but I think they are hedging their bets. But a lot of other TradFi firms are going whole hog into Solana. Firms like Franklin Templeton, firms like the Japanese bank, I can't remember the name of, Australian firm, Spanish bank, and what's the other one that I'm missing? Circle now mints all their USDC on Solana. Did I mention Visa? Anyway, you'll see that people are still using this platform, the Solana platform. But just look at these numbers for a second. This is the first one is fully diluted market cap over daily transactions. Solana is 28,000% better. If you said that to me in 2021, I'd say you were smoking crack. It's impossible. It's impossible. No way. Maybe they do half of what ETH does. But 28,000% better. Wow. Okay, let's look at the other one. We have fully diluted market cap over daily active users. That is $21,000 of market cap, fully diluted, by the way, per user versus nearly 800,000 for Ethereum. That's 3,600% more expensive. And DEX volume. This is another crazy one. 22,410% more DEX volume on Solana. So do you care about what, a centralized exchange is doing on a couple of select use cases, or do you care about what the world is using? And this is where I get to the point. All right, we have extreme aberrations in pricing of assets. Tesla is stupid cheap. Okay, mark my words. Come back in 5 years, you'll see exactly what happens. You've got things that are stupid expensive. I calculated the other day the amount of market cap, fully due to market cap, like the statistic for XRP, is $9.5 million per user. It is by far the most expensive company on the planet, XRP, because people don't do the math. But let me tell you what will happen over time, because in 35 years of doing this, I know what's going to happen over time. First of all, we know Solana outperforms ETH in all metrics, and we also know it's heavily undervalued in price. And we also know markets are very, very slow and biased. There are behavioral biases. There's institutional inertia. There's conservativeness. Oh, Tommy Frank said ETH is safer. Yeah, it doesn't have outages, therefore go with ETH. All of that stuff skews investor sentiment, okay? And Ethereum is considered blue chip status. We saw Tom Lee talk about that last week. And the blue chip, yeah, it's great because nobody takes the time to look at this stuff. Nobody except for me, because I like data. And what will happen, though, with everything else in the world, user experience will drive real adoption, okay? Ultra low fees, ultra fast confirmations, zero finality, all that stuff. Solana already dominates retail use cases all across the board. And we've seen real world assets really take off as well with the tokenization of stocks. You need to run a stock exchange. You need to tokenize a stock. You need to confirm to somebody in 10 milliseconds if they got it or not at that price. Yeah, ETH isn't going to cut it for you, nor is a layer 2. It's going to be too expensive, too kludgy, too rife for, hacking or whatever else. It's not going to work. But Solana was built from the ground up to do exactly that. The vision from Tolly from 2019 was to build a blockchain that could run the NASDAQ. And that has not changed. And now we're seeing the actual adoption happen 6 years later. And the catalysts, all these catalysts that are coming, Fire Dancer, Alpenglow, etc., will unlock a huge re-rating, re-underwriting of the platform. And all the new developers, they're not going to Ethereum or Arbitrum. They are flooding in droves to Solana. Follow the developers, follow the money. And remember, most importantly, this is the most important point, efficiency compounds in the long run. Just like Amazon outgrew selling books, then they outgrew retail incumbents. Solana will do the same thing. It'll just take time for TradFi to see the economic value. So you just got to be patient in this one. But remember as well, risk happens fast. So when it does pop off, it'll be crazy. So have your seatbelts on. Next question. This one is a little bit touching from Mans. Hi, James. My circumstances have unfortunately changed recently, going through a separation. So very soon, I will be taking a 65% haircut on all my assets. We are selling the family home, so I'll have about 200,000 from that. I need to make up ground to recover from this over the next 5 years. I know you say everybody needs a castle, but with the current landscape, this may not be my best move initially. No, it's not. No, not at all. Especially if you're in Australia, 200K doesn't get you much of a castle over there. And I'm just hoping you could equip me with some direction on what you might do. And I have the full IA suite, which I don't currently use to its full potential. Any non-financial advice would be amazing. Thank you for all you do over the years. I'd be in a lot worse position if it wasn't for this community. My 2 kids will be thanking you for the Bitcoin I've put away for them as your non-financial advice. Awesome for the kids. And there will be many others that may benefit from hearing this too, considering approximately 50% of marriages these days are ending in divorce, sadly. Thanks again. P.S. I live in Australia. So yeah, we've all been through this. And sometimes the most important thing, and I'm going to spend a little bit of time on this because it's hard, but the most important thing is to stay healthy in all ways, especially keep your mental health in check. But you have kids, so that ensures that your mental health will be fine because You're responsible for them. So you don't have time to worry about yourself. You got to worry about the kids. Second step, okay, you need to set up your infrastructure. In Australia, there are things like superannuation funds. Maybe you can do things tax-free. Maybe you can trade tax-free. You can rotate tax-free. I started looking into the Australian law, but it got very confusing very fast, and I'm not there. So check that out. There's a lot of things that you can do. In fact, you can get ways of writing off real estate and tax credits and everything else, single father stuff and everything. So check out all what you need to do, where you need to do it. And we have a lot of members in Australia that are using the tools to trade tax-free, and they're trading Australian stocks. And they have an edge because the people that typically trade the Australian stocks aren't as sophisticated, and they make an absolute killing. So have a look. Don't necessarily look at American-based equities, but you can do a lot with a lot of the Australian stocks too. Next, I always say this, find your rhythm. You got the tools. Find what you like. Rotation model has been a killer. We'll talk about that in a minute too. Pair trading on steroids. There are Australians using that and killing it as well. Then you got IDSS, which you can do a whole bunch of trading, leaps buying, covered calls, etc. Find out what you like to do and what you're comfortable doing and what fits in with your calendar, how much time you have between custody and work and everything else. And an example outline, what you could do with your 200K, not buy real estate. That'll come in 5 years when you've made a fortune. But maybe allocate 20% to rotation model if you're up to that. The rotation model doesn't require daily trading. You just move on alerts, sometimes once a week, every 2 weeks, every month, whatever the assets call for. Then 20% covered calls, simple, safe way to make 5% on your money. And you can use that to live off and pay for the kids' expenses and stuff. Maybe 20% to AI leaps. As I mentioned before, the power of leaps is stunning. Go back to the very beginning of this video and see exactly how that is. 20% to stocks, safe stocks, a little bit of Tesla, a little bit of NVIDIA, maybe a little bit of MicroStrategy, sock them all away, and then keep some for cash. In case a black swan happens, you need to jump in and buy some leaps cheap. So that would be kind of an example game plan that you could consider about. But most important is find out what you're good at, what you like to do, and then build. And you're listening to somebody who had to rebuild many times from zero in his life. Okay? If you knew what I've been through, you'd be very impressed. So don't feel downtrodden or you can't rebuild. You can rebuild better and faster than ever before. Next question. It's been a while since we've seen talks. Their last post was 6 months ago. Hey, James, just checking in. It is still safe to hold trade desk. TTD is the symbol in my long-term investment portfolio, or should rotate all into Tesla when it goes under $300. That is the Tesla price going under $300. Let's have a look at the actual rotation model and see where we are. And this thing has been golden lately. We've had extreme volatility since April. We've had NVIDIA go to $88. It doubled in literally a matter of a couple of months. We had big dips on things like Tesla, and we've had big dips on things like HIMS and Trade Desk. And guess who was there to nab all of these bottoms? Me. Because bottom fishing is powerful. You let the market oversell things, and then you have your limit orders ready. You got your alerts going off in TradingView, and then you grab them. And then you grab them with leverage because you know they're going to mean revert. Everything mean reverts. But here you can see this rotation model. This one I configured for you. It's got HIMS, MicroStrategy, Trade Desk, Tesla, NVIDIA. And it's only up and running for a year. But if you had, say, 80K in it, and your hodl, it would have done really well to 212. But if you did rotation, your 80K becomes 447. So the ROI goes from 147% to 421%. But if you look at the big dips, I added green arrows for all the Trade Desk buys. They are all in the past. That's when it was completely oversold. All those times we're talking June 2024, October 2024, March 2024. It's a volatile beast, just like HIMS is. HIMS got beaten to death as well a couple of weeks ago, just like NVIDIA did. And you just got to be there. If there's one thing you all learn today is be there for those dips. Grab them with both hands. They are powerful. Now, I don't see any big fire up now. There was recent rotations out of MicroStrategy to HIMS to Tesla. But yeah, you could be one to look at. Look at the pair chart and analyze the pair chart. Look at the price targets of all of Trade Desk and see what the upside is. Then compare them to the price targets of Tesla. And then the answer is there. Or use the rotation model. I'll tell you exactly when to pivot your bags. Next question. When playing with options, we know you use margin. Yes, I live on margin. I was born on margin. Margin made me, okay? I'm very grateful for debt and margin. A lot of people think debt is bad. I come from a place where, people used to buy everything. Like you couldn't buy a car and they had the cash to buy a car. But then I discovered borrowing is powerful. Leverage is powerful, but don't blow yourself up. Very important. So what are your rules that you apply to not have a margin call? Yeah, I'm very conservative. I take on a lot of risk, but I am super, super conservative when it comes to margin calls. Now, in full disclosure, I got really close in the last bear market. I was calculating I was going to get a margin call if MicroStrategy fell to $120. And at the time it was 160. But I jumped in and it was the trade of the decade. But it was close. I took on a lot of risk. But I had all the models to give me the comfort that it wasn't going to go down that low. And that's what I did. So you got to look at your price targets and your bottom levels. And if it's a proxy, how low could Bitcoin go? At the time, Bitcoin is about $15,500. A lot of people saying, oh, Bitcoin's going to go to 10K. I'm like, no. That was also a great time to buy Bitcoin as well. But my margin rules, my rules may not be your rules, but these are things that I do. Monitor daily. I don't really monitor daily because I have oodles of margin, but I like to check it as well. And I also run simulations. Like if, say, 40% of my margin is from one asset, what happens if that asset goes to zero? What does that do to the rest of my portfolio? I calculate that. And I know my excess liquidity daily and ensure I have lots. And also, I have a way of bringing in extra equity. Like, for example, I sell a lot of puts. Okay, if I need to raise margin, raise money, all I need to do is close out the put positions, and I can open up a ton of margin. Okay, so a lot of sold put positions that were 99% profit. They were trading at 1% of what I sold them for. Closed them all out, opened up tons of margin, even though they were there and so down in value from what I sold them for. They still chewed up margin. So watch that too. So my rules is when selling puts, I only ever use 20% of my available margin. So if there's the worst black swan ever, I'm still fine. I'm never going to get liquidated, never going to get a margin call. And I like to keep 50% equity and 50% leaps in my bag. I don't like to go more than 50% leaps. So imagine you got 1,000 shares or something. I would have 5 leap contracts and 500 shares, to put that in perspective. And I keep liquid reserves handy. Okay. I always have cash. It is very rare I'll blow all my cash. That would be things like when Bitcoin hits 15.5, MicroStrategy, Bitcoin, very low bottoms, or Tesla hits 106. That's when I blow all my cash at these extreme bottoms as well. So that's, I hope that helps. And again, I don't know what the rules are for your brokerage. Check them out, but that's how I manage. And I have always excess. Again, if half my portfolio went to zero, I would still be fine. That's the way I like to play it. And helping animals this week, shout out to Shark Lover 2. And this week we donated to Sea Shepherd in support of their work actively patrolling shark habitats to deter illegal fishing and the shark finning, which is the most horrific thing ever done by certain cultures. They should never, ever do that. Anyway, shark fin soup is stupid. If you ever go to a restaurant and see it on the menu, walk out, leave, please. And tomorrow, by the way, Marty won't be here, but guess who's going to replace him? Søren Basher, for the first time ever on DCA with Marty and CTO. A lot of the topic will be, and he is one of the few people that understands both Bitcoin, MicroStrategy, crypto, and AI. So it's going to be a fantastic conversation. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. I'm going to now do some live questions. That was AI-driven wealth and all the little secrets you can do to make a difference out there. So, wow, just looking at the charts. Oh my goodness. This market is nuts. What a fantastic day, everybody. Well, I just can't believe the numbers. Can't believe it. Anyway, let me see. What are your price targets for hype? Thank you so much for the question. I think hype could easily hit $100. Hype is one of those names that is very undervalued. It's definitely going to hit 50. And if you look at the amount of adoption revenue when the Phantom news hit early last week, that changed the whole thesis for me entirely and jumped in with size. So I think it could, if we do get a banana zone, this thing could easily go to $100 and it'll be a top 10 crypto from obscurity. So this is my take. It is a very risky one, but the team is doing all the right things right now. And partnering with the Solana Phantom wallet solved all the user experience issues. Tchaikovsky, hello, James. This is a vote to have your pup on the show. Pup is here. Come on over. She's asleep right now. Come on over. Jump in. Say hi. No, I want to sleep. We had a long walk this morning. Donegal for Sam from Freed Poll. Donegal for Sam. I'm not sure what that means, but hopefully somebody can explain. From Duraman, when will you exit hype? The rotation of profits will be in stocks or crypto. Secondly, what would you advise people holding hype and spot? I don't hold spot by the way for hype. I've done something very different, which is very degen-y. How can they maximize profits? So when the time comes, I plan on holding these positions, which are not in spot. You can figure out what they are until the banana zone kicks in. Then I will exit and either move to a hedge, i.e. short perp, protect Bitcoin or Solana, or go the other side of the trade on those assets. It will all depend how they go, how far they go, and how they all look together. And if altcoin season kicks in like it did in the past, like Bitcoin runs first, tops out first, and then tanks, and then the rest spike, and then a week later, everything's over. I don't know what's going to happen. I do believe we could get a perpetual bid on Bitcoin because of players like Michael Saylor. And I do believe we're seeing the first signs ever of a little itty-bitty little supply crunch. Okay? That's why the price has gone up $12,000 in a couple of days. It's gotten much harder to get hands on Bitcoin. And if this supply crunch continues and the long-term holders don't sell, and they've already sold over 1 million Bitcoin this year, we could go real high. So that's what we're waiting for. But we just have to wait and see the charts, and then the answers in the charts. They help us, the fundamental analysis tells us what, and the charts tell us when to get in, when to get out, when to layer out, when to take profits, when to hedge, all that stuff. That's why TA is so important. Doc Intern, live Q&A with James and team while working out at the gym. Best of both worlds. Woohoo! Stay healthy, my friend, and stay wealthy, Doc Intern. Thank you for all you do. You've been a great person here all the time. Big love from Canada, from General Abdel. Thank you, General Abdel. Nick M. When Sol Pump. We love your work, James and team. That's a mystery, but we're getting close. The new ETF, 1 of 9, is already out there, and they've already stacked over $70 million. Okay, $70 million in a week is way more than retail investors can buy. So, and we know more Sol treasuries are buying too, like DeFi Dev, they're stacking. So we're going to see, and remember as well, 67% of all Sol is staked. So we could get a little supply crunch there too. Who knows? But we need the other 8 ETFs to come too. Bill C. I have 10K. Which cryptos would you invest for a 5X? Well, very few will do a 5X from here. But if you want to do a 5X, you do a 3.3X perp on something that's going to go up 25% in a week. And then you can do very well, very fast. So that's what I do. But be careful. Anyway, from Noel W. Hi, James. My retirement has trebled because of you. Woohoo! That's a 3X on retirement. Now you can live better and have more of those luxury vacations. Now it's time to make memories. And of course, invest in your health and fitness. And Duraman again, thank you. Do you think you'll ever find a gem like Solana again for the community? We still remember you saying you like to be a winner and you want to follow, and we want to follow you. It depends. So right now we are still seeing a lot of aberration in markets, a lot of mispricing, and that's good. That's what we like. We've made all the investments over the last 5 years to be able to identify opportunities. Okay, real easy, real fast. For us to find other great killer opportunities, we need a lot of FUD in the market. We need a lot of fear, and we need a bear market as well. When those things happen, that's when I'll be ready. And I look for alpha every single day. So I spend if you imagine 70 to 80% of my day, I spend looking for trades, opportunities. And then the other half of that 70, 80% is envisioning the future, because that's also important. You play where the puck is going to be. So trust me, I'm always looking, always looking. And you can see all my trades too. And thank you as well for your super sticker, Sir Winston. Pitaginut, hope I got that right. Noel W, Forrest M, Scooter Bob, French Dreamer, Happy Feet, GQ Trader, Sigdiv, and Saul Strider, Piper, AJ Crypto, Brayman, Swiper No Swiping, and Rusty Bot in Norway. And a big thank you to the mods on the chat too. You rock, Shawnee, TND Tesla, K8, everybody else, and of course, the Foodie Emperor. What a cool handle. Thanks all. Have a good night. See you tomorrow on DCA. It's going to be a special one with Cern Basher. Very high IQ fellow. Very, very smart. Can't wait. Good night.